Hello and welcome to Perfectly Paranormal, episode 75. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today, we are opening the supernatural doorway to explore angels versus demons. Are they at loggerheads? Are they fighting the great war of good over evil? Or are they present for another reason? You may find my perspective informative or a little bit challenging, but listen anyway, because I have inside information from my 30 years of observing and working with archangels and also the dwellers of darkness. And there's more to the story than what you think. So to start today, we're going to go back to the beginning of time. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean. The universe works on a type of cosmic hierarchy, and the angels and demons represent the two different ends of the universal law. Angels are often depicted as being aligned with the ultimate divine authority and serving as instruments of God's will, delivering messages, protecting the faithful, and also those who ask for help. You don't have to go to church to ask for help from God and the archangels. They are there for everyone. And a lot of people think that they're battling constantly against evil forces. Well, in a way they are. They're kind of helping us to battle our evil forces, but we'll get on to that a little bit later on. Now, these ethereal entities are constantly observing us and rolling their eyes at some of the things we do. Oh my goodness. But they offer support. And first, you've got to be willing to ask. And then, secondly, you've got to listen and adopt the guidance. You've got to do what they're suggesting because they are there to help us. Now, we're not talking about that today, but I'm just putting it out there. Now, I work with archangels all the time, and not in a love and light fluffy way. I can't stand that. It really drives me quite mad when people use that term. Archangels, believe it or not, can be very hardcore. They can be pushy, and they will give you that energetic slap if you're not listening or you're avoiding situations or experiences that will help you with your spiritual growth. Also your personal growth, your mental and emotional growth. And I know this because I've experienced this energetic slap many, many times. Now, they have shared with me on many occasions that they kind of have neutral feelings towards the darkness. And I mean all levels of the darkness. Right from your naughty poltergeist, what I call dark energy beings, right up to your top-ranking legion generals. Angels aren't on the warpath. They do not hunt down demons and demand repentance. It just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. Everything's about free will. But more so, they actually see dark entities as very useful to us humans. Now that's going to blow some people's minds, but hang in there and listen to what I mean. Dark entities, they represent contrast. They represent challenge and temptation. And how we deal with that very alluring enticement shows where we are all at individually, depending on our spiritual growth, our understanding of who we are and how ready we are to deal with that. Now, the darkness, as we all know, constantly challenges us to live in a higher energetic state. There are so many temptations here on earth. I can't even list them. There's just too many. And as you know, all the spiritual people out there who are working on themselves will know that nothing is easy. And what is worthwhile actually takes time and effort. You have to put in the hard yards. You have to work with the darkness and the light. And I'm going to get to that, getting to that very, very soon. Now, Lucifer, the big guy, rebelling against God and his archangel brothers, as mentioned in the Bible and numerous other places in human history, he became what they call the first fallen angel. He fell from God's graces and became what many people call the leader of darkness. Now, demons throughout the ages, they're typically seen as rebellious and defiant entities. And their job is to oppose divine authority. And they love doing that. They love challenging us and the angelic beings. The angelic beings roll their eyes a lot of the time. They want to get in and they want to help and guide us to make our own choices when we have to deal with this darkness that is within our earth reality. These beings, they just want to create chaos and suffering, and they love opposing the established order of universal law. Do unto others as you would be done by. Now, in historical Greek understanding, the word demon, or as I found on the internet, it was spelt D-A-I-M-O-N, so it'd be daemon, I imagine. This was a positive word, believe it or not, referring to supernatural creatures midway between the gods and human beings that can influence our character, our choices, and our outcomes. Remember I said positive. So somewhere along the lines, it's been warped into the fact that the way that these beings work is dark and negative and hateful. Now, I believe that many of these entities waft around amongst us in the earth reality. They're simply here all the time. I feel like heaven and hell, if you want to use those terms, those dimensions are all within the dimension that we live in, the earth reality. Now, these beings, they can be very cunning and deceptive. And they often seek to tempt and corrupt humans. Humans are very corruptible, believe me. I've been dealing with some hoodoo, sorcery and magic stuff within the last 2 years that I never even believed existed. I never believed that people could be so hate-filled. But let's not get on that track. Now, these entities, they use cause and effect. So they create chaos and destruction. And then they basically just sit back and just watch us. They watch us shift our attention away from living in a higher vibration. Being here in this earth reality is all about being aware. We know there's angels. We know there's demons. Whatever you want to call them, they're just two words that I use to describe higher vibrational beings, lower vibrational beings. It's just different ends of the energetic scale. I feel that there's more going on than what we see, what we feel and what we know. We humans, as they say, I think it's used 3% of our brain power. So what's being used in another 97%? Are we being subconsciously challenged and manipulated and controlled for some of us? Are we aware of it? Do we want to be aware of it? Some of us don't want to be aware of it. Believe me, I've experienced that as well with some clients. It's all very fascinating. Now, a lot of people, like I just said, a lot of people only see what they want to see to fit our wants and our desires and our little lives that we live with all our materialistic things. And if we expect dark entities and demons to behave a particular way, they're absolutely going to behave that way. And you know why they do it? They do it to get their energetic food source out of us. You hear me talk about it all the time, but it is so real. And I'm going to expand on that a little bit later on. Back in episode 34 of this podcast, I had a rather interesting conversation with a high-ranking demonic presence. He simply turned up, oh my goodness, he turned up at bedtime, which is the worst time for me to talk to anyone. I'm really tired by midnight, just want to go to bed. But here he was, sitting on my bed. He was curious about me and my work. Like, he didn't attack me. He didn't hurt me in any way. Now, most people would go into a mind spin if I said that. They instantly expect, from what they've been brainwashed to believe, the dark energies and demons are here to hurt us and harm us. Sorry, but that's not true. They manipulate us, because believe it or not, I keep saying that today. Sorry if I keep repeating myself. We are very easy to manipulate. There's no other way to say it. Now, he, like I said, he didn't attack me, didn't hurt me in any way. He had questions. So funny hearing a demonic being ask questions. Like, wow. He had questions that he wanted answered. And like when you're talking Legion General level of demonic beings, they're not used to dealing with humans and they have no patience. But this one, I think he'd been watching me for a while and he was really curious. So if you're interested, have a listen to that episode. I'm not going to bang on about it now. But he shared some really interesting information. He said that in the beginning, certain energy beings, which he means now what we call dark energy beings, they simply put their hand up and willingly chose to take part in the side of darkness. Because where you've got light, you have to have dark. Where you've got hot, you've got cold. You know what I mean? And there has to be that balance. There has to be that balance to the light in the universe. It's just part of universal law. If you've got light, you've got dark. And he said to me that some of them absolutely revel in it. They love triggering us. They love manipulating us, just sitting back and watching us spin like the Tassie Devil in those cartoons that I used to watch when I was a child. And some of these dark energy beings and these demonic beings actually don't like where they are and what they do. And they actually have a chance to transition when they're ready. It's all through free will. There is a place in the afterlife for dark energy beings. Believe it or not, there is. Now, interpretations of the darkness vary quite considerably across different spiritual, religious and cultural traditions. Now, some view the devil and his henchmen, as I like to call them, as literal living entities with supernatural powers, working to confuse and disrupt and destroy the spiritual well-being of individuals and communities. Well, I have to say, we actually don't need help with that. The great war of good and evil rages here on earth, not in the ether. People hate, and they war against each other, as they have for centuries. Now, people ask me often, do demons make us fight? Now, depending on your thinking, that could be a complicated question or not. I tend to just try and make it as simple as possible when I answer people's questions, and it all the information I share comes from my personal experiences. So I don't think they do. They don't make us fight. That would be an excuse. That would be an excuse to blame an outside influence for what we are creating. Our egos, greed, desires for power, and the actions that we use to get them all come from us. And our wants and what we think we are entitled to. That entitled word is so important in this. So then I get people shrugging their shoulders and going, well, do demons make us fight? So I'll say it again in a slightly different way. What dark entities do, and believe me, they are very, very clever. They are master manipulators. What they do is trigger us. And you've heard me say that in other episodes. I use the word trigger quite often. Those humans who have underlying hatred of others, or they've got a superiority complex, or they've got massive egos, or they've got really greedy desires, these people are prime targets for dark energy coercion. Now, when we fight and war against each other on all different levels, hatred isn't just shooting missiles at each other, but it can be more localized. Sometimes it's internal. It can be with people that you live with. It can be with people that you work with, your social groups. It doesn't have to be these massive countries who are constantly sending missiles at each other. This coercion happens on all levels. They know how to manipulate all different types of people. When you're aware of the manipulation, you can go, hang on, is that me or is that something else? Do I actually really hate that person? No, I don't. They're going through a really hard time in their life and I need to back off and just give them some space. That's having awareness. Thinking like that is having awareness. Now, people, when they're more localized with their hatred, it's not always that word hatred. Hatred is an emotion. It's a vibration. When I do home clearings and people clearings, I clear vibrations. And quite often, people are riddled with all different types of vibrations. And I give them words. The universe has given me words to talk about these vibrations. So it can be internal vibrations such as judgment, rage, hatred, hostility. That can be internal. Sometimes it can be outwardly spoken. But I find a lot of the time it's what we create within us that creates these big build-ups of emotional energy that then attracts these paranormal beings. And if you're vulnerable, they can then poke you to then create more of these emotional imprints that you are then feeding these beings. Like seriously, they need us. This is why they do it. This is why they do it. So I tend not to feed them anymore. I know what my triggers are. And if I feel a particular emotion coming, I go, hang on. Now, is that me? Is that something else causing that? It's all about being rational and thinking. Even though you're dealing with a non-rational situation talking about angels and demons and dark energy. It's stuff you can't prove scientifically. These emotional imprints, or maybe you can. I don't know. I haven't delved into the research. I just know that they're real and that we are very easily manipulated. The darkness need us as what I call a constant energetic kiosk, where they can come in and they can get their favourite fill of rage or hostility or distress or blame. The list goes on. Now, despite their differences, both angelic and demonic beings, they play very significant roles in shaping our personal spiritual beliefs and also controlling our moral and ethical conflicts. Now, whether these are seen as signs of divine protection and guidance, or as the embodiment of temptation and corruption, these entities help us explore our true nature. Like I just said, the good and evil within us all, and the ultimate destiny of our souls, where we choose to go by what we do within each lifetime. I want to share this little unusual experience. When I was doing a clearing for a client one day, a lady that was very, very, oh my goodness, she had so many dark presence within her, so many demonic level beings present within all areas of her energy. As I'm doing the clearing work, what I saw in my head was what I see as an angelic being, which is your traditional sort of white gowns. I don't always see wings, but they're white. They're white and light and bright coloured, standing next to a high-ranking Legion General of the Darkness. I could see the horns. I could see the hooves. And his big muscular arms folded. They were having a conversation. I felt like I was given this little insight into how these energy beings work. I feel like sometimes they do work together to teach us. They're here to teach us. And whether we're ready or not, we just get it constantly. It's constantly slamming us with these experiences we have to go through. Now, these beings, like I just mentioned, I started using the word teach, which is a little bit challenging for some people when I'm talking about dark beings. They teach us about unpacking, understanding, acknowledging, and moving through our darker sides, as it is just as important, or even more so, in our spiritual evolution than working with the higher vibrational beings. Like, I never shy away from being tested by the darkness through my thoughts, my words, my actions, my reactions, my choices, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. But then I do humbly apologise and I try and reset myself to start again. My choices basically show where I'm at spiritually, ethically, morally, and my willingness to sometimes take the hard path of constantly learning through consistently making many, many, many mistakes and then adjustments, and not being tempted to take shortcuts, because shortcuts are often provided by the darkness and they simply contain empty promises. Even when you feel like you're not getting anywhere, take the long road, because you're going to learn more, you're going to come out of it with better understanding, and you just own it. You feel more powerful when you have learnt through your own experiences. I want to share this other little interesting piece of information. I was on a particular forum site on the internet the other night. A friend had sent it to me and she said, "You've got to see this." And I won't mention names because it's not about name and shame. It's about what people do. And in this particular forum site, the moderator or the founder of this site was sharing techniques to summon demons to get what you want in life. Now, I hope you're sitting back going, why would people do that? Why would people be so stupid to think that they can control the darkness? That's their way in. They let you think that you can control them. And once you invite them into your life, or even worse, into your body to help you achieve fame or fortune or more money, or you want, I don't know, all the things that people want in their life. Not necessarily what they need, it's what they want. Once you get these beings within you or around you, they are very hard to get rid of. There's a lot of unpacking that has to be done to move these beings from people. People think that just wafting sage and wearing a few crystals is going to shift them. I have to say, I I know people hate that when I talk about sage as not shifting dark energy beings, but it just doesn't. And I did do an episode on sage, can't remember the number, but it will be in the episode list. Sage is great for spiritual journeying, for meditation, and it's actually really good for raising the vibration of your home, but you've got to get rid of all the rubbish first. It doesn't do both. Now, there will be people that argue, and that is okay. This is just my perspective. But I've had many demonic beings tell me that they just stand in the corner. They just watch people wandering around their house saging and doesn't do anything energetically. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Sage doesn't do anything energetically to shift demonic and dark energy beings from homes, to remove emotional imprints from homes, to remove trauma imprints from home, to remove detrimental viewing, or to remove recreational substance abuse energy from homes. It just doesn't. I know, because I do this work. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Let's get back to what I was saying. Now, when you bring your darkness into the light, it's not as dark as what you think. These beings are here for a reason. They're here to teach us. They're here to help us see what we need to deal with in our shadow selves. That's a really important word. Now, I might do an episode, I'm just thinking, I might do an episode, a very in-depth episode, on dark energy teachers and our shadow selves. I have to tell you, I have some really embarrassing experiences on that particular topic. So stay tuned for that one. So in episode 76, we are discussing demonic voices, those creepy whispers or charismatic influences, who they are, why they're here, what they're up to, and where they've come from. I often get asked, do I have a demon talking to me? What is this evil voice in my head? Am I going insane? And sometimes people just simply ask me, why do dark entities talk to us? Now, these three questions plague many people's minds. So I thought, why not bring it all out into the open, and I'll share some of the creepy, weird, and slightly wacky voice experiences that I've had over the years, and what some of my clients have shared with me from some of their very odd and most frightening encounters they've had with demonic voices. If you like this spooky content of this episode today, please hit the subscribe button, and you will get a notification when every new episode is released to the public. And stay tuned for many, many more episodes unpacking the strange and unseen aspects of the paranormal world around us. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.